Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Marbus, and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to talk about butternut squash soup and a recipe for honey mustard dressing without the honey. Here you're going to find all the resources you need to live a healthy and abundant life. Everything from recipes to interviews with experts. So hit the subscribe button and enjoy the channel. Today we're going to make butternut squash soup. It is absolutely one of my favorite soups. It stores well in the fridge, it reheats, and it's just absolutely delicious. So today I did chop up 3 squashes. That's a little bit more than I usually do. I usually just do 2, but we're going to have a potluck later. So I chopped them up and we're going to put them on our sheet here. It's a silicone lined sheet. You can also use parchment paper. I'm going to throw these in the oven. I preheated that to 425 degrees. And this will take about 45 minutes or so, maybe a little longer because there's more of these on here. So, and once they're nice and roasted in about 45 minutes, like I said, they should be ready to go. So now we have the butternut squash actually roasting in the oven at 425 degrees. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I use for the base of all my soups. This is going to include celery, green onion, and carrots. And celery for this recipe, I did 3 actually stalks of celery. I actually diced them because I used so many butternut squash for this larger batch. Usually I would just use 2 stalks. But what I'm going to use is a big pot. I'm going to use a little bit of water to saute them. So first we'll put in our celery. And then we'll do our green onion. On this one, I really like green onion. And so I actually used 2 bunches of green onion, which is about 12 of those little stalks. And as this cooks, it'll only take maybe 10 minutes or so until they're a little translucent and soft. You can use veggie broth or water. I have water here, I just had run out of the veggie broth. And then you can also use carrots. You can use these baby carrots, or you can chop up regular carrots. It's up to you. You don't even have to necessarily peel them. So that's what I'm going to do here is then I'm going to also add the carrots. Now I'm going to put it in the oven. Okay, so now we're going to put it in the oven. I'll put it up to like medium high or so. Stir this around. It had a little bit of water at the bottom, and what that's going to do is it's going to cook it just like if you were to saute it in oil. We're actually going to use just water. And like I said, it'll take about 5 to 10 minutes until they're translucent, and then you're ready to go on to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to make our honey mustard dressing. So typically you would have honey and honey mustard dressing, but I don't really like to use the honey. Some recipes would call for maple syrup, but I'm going to use dates and a little bit of garlic powder and some Dijon mustard. You can get it at your regular store. This is just my Kroger brand. And then of course you have your garlic powder. Okay, so this is a little bit larger batch because I am making this for a potluck. As you can see, our salad, we have all sorts of baby greens. I have some tomatoes, have these really beautiful bell peppers that have yellow and red in them. We have some shredded carrots, purple cabbage. There might be a few onions thrown in there. So that would be the basis of the salad. I have a Vitamix, but you could use any other type of high-speed blender, but this has been well worth it. We invested in this about 8 years ago when we went to a plant-based diet, and it has not let us down. So basically I measured out 3/4 cups of Dijon mustard. So I'm putting that in here now. And I always like to use these little spatulas because you can get down in there, especially with the Vitamix. Ooh, a little yellow on me. And then I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon per each 1/4 cup of mustard. So this is just a little bit over 3/4 teaspoons. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of experiment. So I just put, there's 6 dates. I put per each 1/4 cup of the mustard, I put 2 dates because you're not quite sure how sweet you want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain some of the water that it was soaking in and save that water because it'll be a little sweet. made a little mess, but that's okay. So I have 6 soaked dates. These have been soaking for about an hour, and I'll put those in here. And what I'm gonna do is use that water to make it the right consistency that I want. So as I blend this up, if I find that it's too thick, I'll just add a little bit more water. So now we have the dates, the honey mustard, and the garlic powder in the Vitamix canister. So we're gonna grab the Vitamix here, pull it over here, and we're gonna blend this up. So, like I said, this is the date water that had been soaking. Our lovely salad over here. And it'll probably definitely have to add some water because it's gonna be a little bit thick with those dates. So we're gonna try this first. What you do is you first turn it on, then you slowly crank it up to 10 and then put it up to high if you want to. So. Pour a little bit of water in here. It's messy, so keep the lid on it. So I'm going to crank this up. And you probably want to do that for about, I don't know, 45 seconds to a minute. And what you're going to find here is you get a nice consistency, thickness, just like a regular dressing would be. This is where I'll keep this. So I always like to try it. That's good. So here we go. We got the honey mustard dressing. That'll be ready perfect for our salad dressing, for our salad later. So enjoy. All right, so now the butternut squash has been cooking for about 45 minutes to an hour at 425. I just turned the oven off. You're gonna know the butternut squash is done when you poke it with a fork and it kind of falls apart easily, or at least goes in very easily. And like I said, it depends on where you live, how much squash you're cooking. That may take longer or a little bit less of time. So I'm gonna take it out. As you can see, it goes in very nicely. So this is perfectly shot, or perfectly cooked. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out here. I'm gonna place it up on the oven, the stove. Okay, so now what we do is we're gonna transport this, or move this squash into the veggie pot. The veggie pot's been cooking maybe 15 minutes. It's everything, all these veggies are nice and soft. And all I'm going to do is this is a holding container basically. And then I'm going to add a few different things as well. So let me transport these over. So again, this is really hot. I want to be careful. You may have a big spatula or something. Okay, so now we've taken the butternut squash from the oven. It's done. We've added it to the pot with the celery, the onion, and the carrot. We're gonna add the final ingredients, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take those ingredients and blend them in the Vitamix again to make a nice creamy soup. So first of all, I soaked a cup of cashews. For the time that these were actually in the oven, you can actually also use hot water, like a microwave, for 5 minutes, and that'll make them a little softer too. You don't have to soak them, it just makes it a creamier soup. So this is a cup, I'm gonna add that in here as well. Now, I'm taking about a little less than 2 cups of soy milk. You can use any non-dairy milk. The reason I'm using so much, I usually would only maybe use a cup, is because I added that extra butternut squash because we are making this for a potluck. So I'm gonna add that in here as well. Okay, and now I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic. This is probably 2 garlic cloves that are minced. And then I'm gonna add thyme. For me, the thyme for me is like the secret ingredient. You know, now there's thyme in a bottle. You know that song? I could have thyme in a bottle. I won't go any further. But anyway, this is about 2 tablespoons. I really like the flavor. So that might be a little much for you. You might wanna start with maybe, you know, half a tablespoon or a teaspoon and just build from there. But for me, I just love it. And so I'm putting that in there. And so what we'll do is see how this consistency is. I have a little bit of water here. I'm gonna mix this up and just see, you wanna maybe, I don't know, half of this to be liquid under liquid, so that way you'll have enough of fluid to actually make the soup. And I'm mixing this all up. As you can see, it turns in, it's just all the ingredients are nice and soft and cooked. And then what we'll do is we'll blend this all up. And I have another pot here that I'll transfer. So I think I'll add a little bit more water. You can also add more of the dairy milk if you want. I just don't want it to overwhelm the taste. So now you can kind of see we kind of have a nice gooey mess. So what I do is I take the measuring cup here that I use and I just start transporting it. And so now I'm going to take this measuring cup and I just basically pour it in here. And I fill it up pretty good. You don't want to get it too high because then it splatters everywhere. Just set this over here. And like I said, I have this pot here because that's what I'll transfer the blended soups, what I blended into there, and then mix it, and it'll be ready to go. And at the end, you'll also want to maybe use some garnish for some pumpkin seeds. So let's get this blended. Okay. Okay, and so now what you're going to do is you can ladle it in the bowl and garnish with a little bit, oh, a little too much pumpkin seeds, but it is absolutely delicious, so enjoy. I hope you enjoyed our video today. So comment below and tell me what you'd like to see more of, what recipes, maybe some interviews. In addition to that, check out our website, healthyhumanrevolution.com. There we have podcast links, we have recipes, we also have some amazing courses that you can do. It's a free 7-day course on all about a whole food plant-based diet. So if you know anyone who needs help, you can send them there as well. But most important, hit subscribe so you'll be ready for our next video.